Hello dear students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. Myself Dr. DC Saxena, Professor and Head of the Department of Food Engineering and Technology at Sant Longowal Institute of Engineering and Technology, Longowal. I am presenting you the paper Technology of Meat, Poultry, Fish and Seafood Products. Herein, I will be explaining you what are the methods of preservation of poultry and meat, which will be further explained to you by my co-author Miss Syed Insha Rafiq.
Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Syed Insha Rafiq from Sant Longowal Institute of Engineering and Technology. Today, I am going to talk about Module 21, that's Methods of Preservation of Poultry Meat, of paper number 8. This technology of meat, poultry, fish and seafood products. In this module, we will be learning about the methods of preservation of poultry meat. It's the responsibility of poultry industry to provide quality poultry meat and meat products to consumers. Nowadays, consumers are aware of the advantages of hygienic processing of poultry meat. As far as meat is concerned, meat is a highly perishable food commodity due to nearly neutral pH, that's low acid food, high moisture content and rich nutrients. Thus, it acts as a good source for microbial contamination and various other undesirable biochemical reactions to take place, leading to its deterioration. The easiest way to preserve meat for the short term is to freeze the meat, or meat is pickled by using vinegar and spices, as vinegar keeps parasites and bacteria away from the meat for at most 6 months, while spices add taste to meat. However, there are various preservation methods done for preserving meat and meat products, and these include use of low and high temperatures, that's chilling or refrigeration, freezing and drying, use of spices and salt, that is curing and smoking process, and also removing moisture like dehydration, and use of radiations for the treatment of meat and meat products. Meat is highly perishable food and hence becomes easily susceptible to deterioration by microbial growth, chemical change, and breakdown by endogenous enzymes. However, these processes can be reduced by destroying microbial growth and enzymes using heating procedures, cooking and canning, or by removal of water by drying or osmotic control, to use chemicals to inhibit growth, and very recently ionizing radiation. Traditionally, meat was processed using various procedures like drying in wind and sun, salting and smoking to preserve it. Nowadays, different techniques are employed in order to preserve the quality of meat. How to preserve meat? Deep freeze. The easiest way to preserve meat for the short term is to freeze the meat. The meat should be wrapped
tightly in foil or in plastic package. Salt. Using of salt as a means of preservation is an age-old practice. For the preservation of meat, the salt is either rubbed on meat or meat is dipped in brine. Pickle the meat. Meat is pickled by using vinegar and spices, as vinegar keeps parasites and bacteria away from the meat for up to 6 months, while spices add taste to meat. For making jerky or drying out the meat has long been a popular method of preserving meat. Meat preservation. Meat is a highly perishable food commodity due to nearly neutral pH, low acid food, high moisture content, and rich nutrients, thus acts as a good source for microbial growth. Various undesirable biochemical reactions to take place leading to its deterioration. However, there are different procedures employed to stop the undesirable conditions in meat. There are various preservation methods done for preserving meat and meat products, and these include use of low and high temperatures, that is chilling or refrigeration, freezing and drying, use of spices and salts, that is curing and smoking, removing moisture like dehydration, and also use of radiations. Chilling or refrigeration process is the most widely used method of preservation for short-term storage of meat because chilling or refrigeration slows down the microbial growth and enzymatic as well as chemical reactions. Curing meat by using salt brine was a widely used method of preserving meat before the days of refrigeration. While meat smoking is a preservation process where meat is subjected to combustion at a temperature of about 300 degrees Celsius. Canning is the process of applying heat to sealed food containers in order to destroy microorganisms that can cause food spoilage. In this process of preservation, thermostabilization of a product held in hermetically sealed containers is achieved. While drying is the oldest method known for preserving food, where food is exposed to a temperature that is high enough to remove the moisture. As far as the freeze drying is concerned, it involves the removal of water from a food by sublimation from frozen state to vapor state by keeping it under vacuum and giving a low heat treatment. Then moving to radiation, that is the emission and propagation of energy in the material medium. It works by exposing meat to radiant energy and destroys most but not all microorganisms. Then gamma radiations produce desired effect only during food irradiation and are widely used in food preservation. Chilling or refrigeration. It's the most widely used method of preservation for short-term storage of meat because chilling or refrigeration slows down the microbial growth and enzymatic as well as chemical reactions. It's the technique of preservation that was applied to meat from ancient times where the meat was stored in natural caves where temperatures were relatively low throughout the year. Chilling process reduce surface temperature and enhance carcass drying, resulting in reduction of microbial growth. This process is very critical in terms of meat hygiene, safety, shelf life, appearance, and eating quality. The temperature for chilling process ranges from 1 degree Celsius to 4 degrees Celsius. Care should be taken that slaughter and meat cutting are carried out under strict hygienic conditions. The refrigeration process begins with chilling of animal carcasses and continues through the entire process of holding, cutting, transit, retail, display, and even in the consumer household before ultimate use. Here, the relative humidity is generally kept 90% in order to check excessive shrinkage due to loss of moisture. In this process, the carcasses are first held in chill coolers 15 degrees Celsius to remove their body heat, and then they are passed on to holding coolers 5 degrees Celsius. Generally, poultry start with a comparatively high microbial load. Hence, utmost care should be taken during handling of meat in order to check further microbial contamination. Refrigerated temperatures favor the growth of psychrophilic organisms, causing spoilage of meat in due course of time. Generally, fresh meat is maintained in good condition for a period of 5 to 7 days at a refrigerated temperature of 4 plus minus 1 degree Celsius. However, processed meat products are stored under refrigeration till these are finally consumed, as they are having long shelf life as compared to their raw ones. Hence, processed meat products are less perishable as compared to fresh meat. However, the life of poultry meat is 3 to 6 months when kept under refrigerated conditions. Freezing is the best and most simple option for preserving poultry. It's the process for long-term preservation of meat as it stops the microbial growth and retards the action of enzymes, and also retains most of the nutritive value of meat during storage. Although a very little loss of nutrients does occur in the drip during thawing process, the meat should be wrapped in suitable packaging films before freezing in order to prevent it from undergoing freeze burn. However, the quality of frozen meat is influenced by freezing rate. In slow freezing, the outer water freeze more quickly as compared to inner water, resulting in formation of larger ice crystals, which may damage the muscle tissue. However, in fast freezing, various small ice crystals are formed uniformly throughout the tissue. Hence, drip loss during thawing is low in fast freezing as intracellular water freeze within the muscle fiber itself. Numerous small ice crystals on the surface of fast frozen meat also impart it a desired lighter color as compared to slow frozen meat. Different types of freezers are used for freezing meat, such as plate type freezers with temperature -10 degrees Celsius, blast type freezers with temperature from -10 to -30 degrees Celsius. However, at -18 degrees Celsius, storage life of poultry is less, 4 months, as compared to other meat variety. Thawing of meat should be done within the package itself, preferably in a refrigerator so as to minimize the drip losses. However, if thawing is needed for a short period, warm air or lukewarm water may be used. Hence, frozen meat should always be thawed at refrigerated conditions or in microwave, but not at room temperatures. Freeze-drying of meat is a satisfactory process of dehydration preservation due to better reconstitution properties, nutritive quality, and acceptability. Maintaining or creating nutritional value, texture, and flavor is an important aspect of food preservation. Although historically some methods drastically alter the character of the food being preserved. Meat and poultry products are chilled immediately after slaughter to acceptable internal temperatures, which ensure the prompt removal of the animal heat and preserve the wholesomeness of the products. As such, due to the recent upgradation of preservation techniques, the preservation industry is also growing almost at the same rate as the food industry, which is about 10 to 12% per year. New preservation techniques are being developed to satisfy current demands of economic preservation and consumer satisfaction in nutritional and sensory aspects. Convenience, absence of preservatives, low demand of energy, and environmental safety. Preservation of meat by heavy salting is an age-old practice. Curing meat by using salt brine was a widely used method of preserving meat before the days of refrigeration. Later, curing using common salt and sodium nitrite resulted in comparatively improved products. However, curing of meat is done for imparting specific flavor and color development. In addition to preservative effect, the main ingredients for curing process include sodium chloride, sodium nitrite, sodium nitrate, and sugar. Sodium chloride or common salt acts as a preservative as it inhibits the growth of spoilage bacteria by dehydration and alteration of osmotic pressure, and also slows down the action of enzymes. However, it reacts with fatty acids to enhance the flavor of the cured products. It also contributes to the tenderness of the product. Sodium nitrates and nitrite are responsible for imparting the attractive cured meat color and characteristic cured meat flavor. Nitrates and nitrites at permitted levels of 500 ppm and 200 ppm respectively act as preservatives by inhibiting the growth of a number of bacteria, especially Clostridium botulinum. These chemicals also retard the development of rancidity. Sugar suppresses the harsh hardening effect of salt, adds to the flavor development, and also serves as an energy source for nitrate, reducing bacteria in the curing solution. Mainly sucrose or dextrose are used for this purpose. Meat smoking was known to man as a preservation for a long time. It is a preservation process where meat is subjected to smokehouse, where sawdust or hardwood are subjected to combustion at a temperature of about 300 degrees Celsius. High temperature is desirable to minimize the production of carcinogenic compounds. Smoke generation is accompanied by formation of numerous organic compounds, aldehydes, ketones, organic acids, phenols, etc., and their condensation product. Aldehydes and phenols condense to form resins and contribute most of the color of smoked meat products. Phenols act mainly as bacteriostatic and formaldehyde as bactericidal compound, besides imparting characteristic smoky flavor. Preservation of smoked meat is also due to surface dehydration, lowering of surface pH, and antioxidant property of smoke constituents. Curing and smoking of meat are interrelated, and curing is usually followed by smoking. Canning is the process of applying heat to sealed food container in order to destroy microorganisms that can cause food spoilage. In this process of preservation, thermal sterilization of a product held in hermetically sealed containers is achieved. This process preserves the sensory attributes such as appearance, flavor, and texture of the meat products to a large extent. Besides, canned meat products have a shelf life of at least 2 years at ambient temperature. Canning process is performed as lean and clean meat is taken and mixed with gravy that has been prepared using condiments, tomatoes, dry spices, and salt in water and cooked for some time so that all the ingredients get properly mixed in the water. Then the mixture is pre-cooked at 70 degrees Celsius for 15 minutes. After that, filling in cans is done either manually or mechanically by leaving proper headspace. Then exhausting is done to remove the air from the container. After that, seaming is done and then retarding or thermal processing to achieve sterility. At last, cooling is performed, followed by storage at cool and dry place. Drying is the oldest method known for preserving food. When food is dried, it is exposed to a temperature that is high enough to remove the moisture. It's the process of removal of water from meat nutrients, making them unavailable to the microorganisms. Dehydration lowers the water activity considerably to prevent the growth of spillage organisms. Different types of drying procedures are employed for drying process such as mechanical drying, freeze drying, etc. Mechanical drying process involves the passage of hot air with controlled humidity. Freeze drying of meat is a satisfactory process of preservation due to better reconstitution properties, nutritive quality, and acceptability. Freeze drying involves the removal of water from a food by sublimation from the frozen state to vapor state by keeping it under vacuum and giving a low heat treatment. Meat is first frozen at -40 degrees Celsius. Then it is dried under vacuum for 9 to 12 hours at low temperature in plate heat exchangers at 1 to 1.5 mm pressure of mercury. Ice crystals get sublimated to water vapor and there is no rise of temperature. Radiation is the emission and propagation of energy in the material medium. Electromagnetic radiations are in the form of continuous waves. These are capable of ionizing molecules in their path. It works by exposing meat to radiant energy and destroys most but not all microorganisms. These radiations can destroy the microorganisms by fragmenting their DNA molecules and causing ionization of inherent water within microorganisms. Since microbial destruction of foods takes place without significantly raising the temperature of food, irradiation is many times referred as cold sterilization. Among radiations, alpha and beta rays are used but have limited use in food irradiation. Gamma radiations produce desired effect only during food irradiation and have no effect after removal of source. These are widely used in food preservation. Radiation of dose of 4 to 5 megarads can sterilize pork, poultry, and fish. Ultraviolet radiations of 2650 angstrom are most bactericidal in nature. A dose of 2 to 5 kg extend the shelf life of poultry stored at 1 to 3 degrees Celsius by 8 to 14 days.
So students, Let us now summarize what we have learned in this module. In this module, we have learned about the food preservation, that's a method of maintaining foods at a desired level of properties or nature for their maximum benefits. As preservation process involves preventing the growth of bacteria, yeast, fungi, and other microorganisms, as well as retarding the oxidation of fats which cause rancidity. The various preservation methods that were discussed here include chilling, freezing, curing, smoking, dehydration, canning, radiation, preservation had been discussed here. Chilling process being the short-term preservation of meat by slowing down the microbial and enzymatic reactions, thereby retaining most of the nutritive value of meat during storage. Freezing, the other process of preservation, is a quick and easy and preserves the nutritional value and flavor. Curing process being the first step in the smoking process and is essential for good flavor, and salt being the essential ingredient for curing process that slows spoilage by drawing water out of the meat and killing decay causing microorganisms. While smoking was known to man as an aid in preservation for a long time, which exert bacteriostatic effect besides imparting characteristic smoky flavor. Canned meat is convenient and economical with a long shelf life of about years, as canning process preserves the sensory attributes such as appearance, flavor, and texture of the meat products to a large extent.
So, you must have been explained very well by Ms. Syed Insha Rafiq about the methods of preservation of the poultry meat. By understood, after this module, you will be explaining about the next module, that is technology of chicken based convenience meat product. Thank you.